In 2002, a man named Jim wakes up from a coma to find that the city of London has been completely deserted. He finds evidence of riots, of evacuation, and finally, of what's left. A man-made rage virus has escaped the labs and infected the populace, turning everyone into mindless, rage-filled, zombie-like creatures. Jim finds several other survivors, and they make their way to possible salvation, only to learn that the only thing scarier than the monsters are the men who survived them. Directed by Danny Boyle and written by Alex Garland, one of the greatest horror films of the 2000s and possibly of all time, this is 28 Days Later. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
And I'm Austin Johnson.
And this is Filmgazm. Happy Wednesday, listeners, coming at you via Skype to talk about a movie that has been on the list since the beginning of the show. A true masterpiece in every sense of the word, 28 Days Later. Hope you're doing well, or as well as can be expected during these crazy times. I know some states, including our native Texas, are beginning to reopen. If you are going to risk going out there, please take the proper precautions. Wear a face mask, continue social distancing, and keep in mind that we're all in this together. I've got one sad update for you on episode 16, Child's Play. Child's Play co-writer John Lafia has died at age 63 from an apparent suicide. Lafia is credited with coming up with the name Chucky, among other contributions. Rest in peace. We may redo Child's Play in the near future, as well as a number of other early episodes. We'd like to give them the proper treatment now that we have a formula. Are there any in the early days that stand out of ones you'd like to take another stab at, like maybe some I did by myself?
Sounds of the Lambs.
Yeah, big time. I want to do the proper treatment on that, big time.
Yeah, and Suspiria.
Yeah, both of them, I think.
Yeah, I want to do a separate episode on each one. Yeah.
Going into this show, we were winging it. It was just I was planning it to just be me for the most part, but that turned into just the best show we have, and there's so many episodes early on that I wish I could have done differently. I think a big one for me is Saw.
Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, we can do all of them. I mean, I think even if you were to do them by yourself again, I think just a year or more of learning and growing and watching movies more and more, it can be so huge for you. I would personally love to revisit Suspiria because I've watched more things that are foreign, and so I would love to, kind of take another stab at it, be even more open-minded to it. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. I'd like to do separate episodes on the pet cemeteries again.
Yeah, I would do that too. I still haven't gone all the way through the newest one. I watched about 20 minutes of it, didn't like it. I don't know. I do love the original. It's good stuff.
I don't like either one. Pet Cemetery, they just never got it right to me.
Love's a strong word, but I think it has like a place because it's one of the first King movies that I like watched consciously knowing who King was. So it's kind of like, oh, this is cool,
It does have a place. It's very it's kind of a cult hit now.
Yeah.
The new one is garbage.
Yeah.
Which the worst thing about it is the untapped potential. I mean, that trailer was so creepy. The cast is great. And it's just such a fuck up.
Yeah, it has the chance to be like an ultimately atmospheric, fucking fright fest. It really has the potential to do everything you want from horror. Yeah, it's upsetting.
I mean, King said it's the only story he ever wrote that scared the shit out of him.
Yeah,
With that, you gotta how do you fuck that up on screen?
Yeah, that's I mean, coming from the man himself. Yeah, I know. It's again, it kind of has this like special, like you said, very cult status at this point with Stephen King fans.
Speaking of King, I just bought his most recent book, If It Bleeds.
Oh, right on.
I think it's a novella collection. I'm currently reading Who Censored Roger Rabbit by Gary Wolfe. So when I'm done with that, I'll check out If It Bleeds.
Guess what? I just read the first 2 chapters of today.
What?
Meadowsweet.
Shameless plug. That's my 3rd book.
But good to be back with old Margaret Stokes and Carter Nash. Yeah, it's good, man. I'm glad to be back. I'll probably finish it. The way I read these days is like I'll pick it up one day and read a couple chapters, and the next day I don't read nearly as consistently as I used to. That's kind of one of the things that changed when I had a child.
Oh, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm amazed you can watch the amount of movies you get through, frankly.
That's the one I commit to. Yeah, is like, all right, if I have to choose one thing that I do like at nighttime when it's my spare time, I choose movies.
I tend to only read at work when on my break.
I used to have a job that I used to do that like a lot. Yeah, and I remember when we worked together at Draft House, you would always be reading in the break room. Using your time wisely as a reader for sure.
Ironically, the book I was reading back then, I think, was The Stand.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you always had a fat King book in your in your hands. Yeah.
That book took me like a year and a half to read, and I'm a fast reader, but that monster, whew.
Yeah.
Fantastic fucking story, though.
Yeah,
I'd read it again in a heartbeat. It's such a great book. Oh, speaking of global viruses, there's obviously a reason we picked 28 Days Later. It's unfortunately topical at the moment thanks to the coronavirus pandemic that's affecting most of the world. Thankfully, we have not gotten to the point where the infection is turning us into rage zombies, so be grateful for that.
Yes, that is nice. Yeah, I also got to go back to work today, so that was nice. Went smoothly. But I definitely thought about, because it was my first time being in that building for a while, and I definitely thought about the movie, just kind of like, obviously it's not that extreme, but you imagine what it would if it did get to that point. You're like, oh, what would Texas look like?
I feel kind of bad now that I know that you went back to work the week we did 28 Days Later. I did not time it like that.
No, you did. You had no idea. Yeah, you had no idea. It was very random, but yeah, I'm back at work, and it seems like things are kind of sort of starting to pick up. But yeah, I just hope people are still staying safe out there.
Absolutely. So what is your history with this movie?
28 Days Later. This is one I watched. I guess I would have been at sometime in middle school, because I really, really liked Murphy's performance in Batman Begins. And I kind of fed off that. I've always fed off of performances, and I'll kind of get attached to actors and be like, oh, I got to see what other characters they've played. Especially when I was, middle school and high school, you get really attached to those guys. And I don't know, I really, really liked Scarecrow. I thought he was kind of underrated. And I saw that movie in theaters, which was rare. I was 10 years old, and that was rare. I was in Colorado when I saw that, and it was just a cool experience. I was like, that was an awesome performance. I got to see what else he's done. And I remember sometime in middle school, I checked this movie out, and it just kind of blew my mind. Right away, the beginning of him just kind of roaming around London, and it's just, jaw-dropping stuff, from looking at how desolate it is. There's no people anywhere, and he's like, hello, hello, to the music that's playing. It's just, it's breathtaking stuff right away, and it's kind of stuck with me. I've always thought about it, but it's one of those movies you watch, when you go into it, it's gonna spook the shit out of you. And that might be why I haven't rewatched it a bunch. I've probably only seen it 3 or 4 times in my entire life, but it is a classic, man. I understand that for sure. And this most recent rewatch really, really, impacted me heavily. It was, this movie's amazing.
It really is. It's been one of my firm favorites for a long time now.
It was in your top 10 of the 2000s, right?
Yeah, it was at number 10.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
This was one of the first Blu-rays I ever bought. It's just been on my mind constantly. Whenever I think of a good horror movie, this is one of the first ones I ever go to, because it's so perfectly crafted as not a horror movie. It's made as a human drama, but it's pure horror every second.
It's frightening.
I think it just speaks to the perfect combination of Danny Boyle and Alex Garland.
We can definitely talk about that. Obviously, I had no idea what they were going to do, or what they even had done at the time. I first saw it, I just knew this was like a really cool and different movie. And by the way, it's like so far superior to anything else, in my opinion, that I've seen in recent memory of zombies, of that kind of makeup, that kind of design, that kind of like cruelty, that kind of like primal aggression. It's the best in that, man. Like, you can have your opinions on, maybe, I know people love The Walking Dead, but this movie really takes it to a different level. That whole thing, it makes it very frightening.
The Walking Dead straight up stole from this movie.
Yeah.
It's the exact. I mean, the Rick waking up from a coma to find out the world's ended. Could you get more blatantly cheaper than that? Yeah. I love The Walking Dead, but 28 Days Later is on a completely different level when it comes to zombie horror.
Oh yeah, World War Z, get out of here. Come on, it's not even close. These movies that have happened the past decade, they're not even close to this one.
Well, this was the first movie we ever saw extremely fast zombies. Zombies that are going to chase you down like a fucking cheetah.
Athletic,
that is horrifying.
Yeah.
And it's not even some voodoo curse or a meteor hit Earth or a satellite entered the wrong way. It's mankind did this to themselves. It's a virus made in a laboratory. It's so real. And I think that's why it really freaks me out, because I feel like this could happen.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And then as you get older, and then you have the foundation of the movie is Murphy, Harris, and Gleason. Holy shit.
Yeah.
They're all spectacular. And then, like you said, the combination of the director and writer. I mean, what stands out for you from those two guys, Danny Boyle and Garland, outside of this movie?
For Danny Boyle, big fan of Trainspotting.
Oh yeah, of course.
Big fan of Shallow Grave. I really liked Yesterday. Actually, that movie I thought was really cute. And then Alex Garland, his masterpiece is Ex Machina, without a doubt.
Agreed. Yeah.
But I really liked Dread. I completely forgot he wrote that.
Yeah, I know. I was looking on the IMDb and I was like, holy shit. Yeah.
Have you ever seen Never Let Me Go?
I have not.
I think you would love that movie. It's Alex Garland wrote it. It's based on a Japanese sci-fi novel about these people who grow up on this in this commune, and they're raised to believe in a purpose. It's Andrew Garfield, Keira Knightley.
I've seen this. I just didn't know what it was. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was a cool idea, and I won't give it away who they're supposed to be, but it's a really touching, sad movie. But Garland wrote that too.
Well, maybe we could do in the future do Ex Machina and do that as the bonus or something. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Oh yeah, I think Alex Garland's written a lot of movies about the post-human, about artificial intelligence, and just kind of he's one of the leading guys of sci-fi right now.
Yes.
So 28 Days Later.
He has that. Yeah, have you watched any of that new show, Devs?
Devs, I have not. No.
Yeah,
I love Nick Offerman. So.
Yeah, I know. We probably need to dive into that at some point. Yeah.
For sure. 28 Days Later was directed by Oscar winner Danny Boyle. Boyle won his first Oscar for directing 2008's Slumdog Millionaire, which I have not yet seen, regrettably.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, I haven't seen Slumdog Millionaire.
Wow.
It's the only Best Picture winner of recent years that I haven't seen.
I like Slumdog Millionaire. I don't love it, but I like it. Yeah, it's a good movie.
I keep almost getting to it and then not getting to it. I promise you, this year I'm gonna watch Slumdog Millionaire, and probably The Hurt Locker as well. I haven't seen that one either.
Okay, yeah, those are there you go. Those are back to back.
Boyle was also nominated for Best Adapted Screenplay for 2010's 127 Hours, which also got him a Best Picture Producing nomination. I haven't seen that either.
Yeah, that's a good one. I own that one as well. I like that movie.
Some of Boyle's other work includes Trainspotting, Shallow Grave, The Beach, Sunshine, and Yesterday. He was also set to direct No Time to Die before leaving the project due to creative differences. He's since been replaced by Cary Fukunaga, who I think is going to do a great fucking job.
Oh, talk about Cary Fukunaga. Yeah, that's one of the coolest, most diverse directors of the past, few years. He's awesome.
28 Days Later was written by Oscar nominee Alex Garland, who has since come into his own as a director. He was nominated for Best Original Screenplay for 2014's Ex Machina, which he also directed. Some of his other screenplays include Sunshine, Never Let Me Go, Dread, Annihilation, which he also directed, and the recent Hulu original series Devs. I did not like Annihilation at all.
Thought it was okay, yeah.
Thought it was too weird. I didn't really understand what the fuck was going on. I'm not a big Natalie Portman fan.
Oh, weird. Really?
Yeah, I think she
Yeah.
phones it in a lot.
Yeah, that's fair. I like her though. I like her. Yeah, that's fair though. I can't say I've seen like too many of her films, but yeah, I like her in a few things. Yeah,
Best
but
thing I liked her in was Leon.
oh, she's fantastic in that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so young too, crazy, just like this raw talent. But have you seen Danny Boyle? One of the most like top 5 most absurd movies I've ever seen is The Beach. Have you ever seen that?
No, I've only heard stories about how nuts that thing was.
Unreal. I don't know what was going on there. Leo is just off his shit. Yeah, it's crazy. That movie's insane.
That's. I'm gonna have to watch that one too. There's a lot, you know. The list is always expanding.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah. When you like start, when you commit to it, like like we're doing, you like learn how much you don't know, and you're like, oh shit, I have a lot more to watch. Yeah.
Putting these together, whenever I do, like, you know, the actor was in this, the director did this, I'm always like, I haven't seen half that shit.
It's crazy, man.
Yeah,
Crazy.
the film stars Cillian Murphy as Jim, our coma patient hero. Murphy is a well-known character actor who has appeared in such films as Red Eye, Breakfast on Pluto, Inception, The Dark Knight trilogy, and he stars in the critically acclaimed BBC series Peaky Blinders as crime boss Thomas Shelby.
Tommy Shelby.
I love Cillian Murphy to death. He's one of my favorite character actors.
He's
That guy
incredible.
kills it every time.
Yeah, he's incredible. And Tommy Shelby's one of the best TV characters of all time.
I'm gonna have to just. I watched the first 3 seasons of Peaky Blinders. I was into it, and I don't know, something just, I stopped and it got away from me. I'm gonna have to go back.
That was kind of their fault too, because they had a pretty decent gap where like they kind of made the audience wait for a minute. So that's not totally your fault. I understand.
I hate when TV shows do that. They're just shooting themselves in the foot.
This is why TV, like, there's too many things going on, too many too many parts. I love a movie that's in the 2 hours. Get in, get out, let's go.
Yeah. Like you said, you know, he does a fucking great Scarecrow in the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I mean, he is so underrated because, you know, understandably, because Heath Ledger is just so freaking good in the following film, you know, Dark Knight. And but Scarecrow's relevance in the trilogy, like you said, is you know, pretty cool, and his plot line is pretty amazing. I just love him. I think he's a very, very unique villain.
For sure. I loved him in Red Eye. That movie is so unnerving in such a weird way. Just the character of Jackson Ripner. I mean, come on.
Yes, dude. I've only seen that once. I'm due for a rewatch on that. Oh man.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy's the man, and he's so good in this. He's so good in this.
Well, yeah, it's this and Tommy Shelby are like my two, and then the Scarecrow. Those are like my favorite things he's done. I look at those as like his staples. But he's great, you know. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Inception, but he's really good in it. He's good in the Nolan stuff. He's good in Dunkirk, you know, subtle performances, but really, really powerful.
There was this movie he did a while back that I really want to watch. It's called The Wind That Shakes the Barley.
I haven't seen that. I've seen that. I've tripped on that on IMDb before. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot in his resume that I really want to check out.
Yeah, but it, like, when you look at it, it's a, you know, he kind of started. This is about when he started. It's 2002. When he like really started doing film. So it's really, he's like done so much within a 20-year span. It's amazing.
Yeah. Oscar nominee Naomi Harris plays Selena, another survivor. Harris was nominated for her performance in 2016's Moonlight. Some of her other films include Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man's Chest, Rampage, Mowgli, King of the Jungle, and the current James Bond films as Eve Moneypenny. Naomi Harris is a chameleon. Sometimes I forget it's the same actress and all this stuff. She's incredible.
Yeah, and then you finally, like, after all of these years, like in the 2000s and then going into the 2010s, you see her, like you said, be this chameleon. And then you finally see her in Moonlight with, like, no makeup, just her hair's kind of, and you're like, whoa, that's Naomi Harris? Like, wow, it's just amazing what she's able to do. What she's able to do with her voice, how you never know where she's from. It's just, yeah, she's a fascinating actress.
She's done more for the character of Moneypenny than any actress in the Bond franchise who played her. She's
Agreed.
Way more than just Bond's eye candy. She's a fully fleshed out character, and she's one of the best parts of the Craig era.
Yes, Agreed.
And she's fucking great in this too. It took the day I found out that Tia Dalma from Pirates of the Caribbean and Selena from 28 Days Later was the same person. I had this like Kaiser Soze look on my face of like, oh my god,
Kaiser Soze
is just fucking great.
I believe it.
Irish character actor Brendan Gleeson plays Frank, devoted father and fellow survivor. We talked a lot about Gleeson in our recent episode on Gangs of New York. Suffice it to say, he's a favorite of ours, and he is fantastic in this. And
yeah.
Brendan Gleeson's been dominating the show lately.
Yeah, we talk about him all the time. He's great. He's going to keep coming up because he's all over the place.
Yeah, I'm going to say it again. I love him in Bruges. That movie is fucking phenomenal.
I love him in fucking Harry Potter, man. He's great in everything.
My favorite line in Bruges is when Gleason's trying to talk to Colin Farrell and get him to enjoy Bruges. Like, just enjoy yourself. And Colin Farrell says, if I was a farmer and retarded, I might enjoy it. Oh my god, so horrible.
Oh my gosh.
I gotta watch that movie again. I love that movie.
Yeah, that is a very fun rewatch.
Anything Martin McDonagh's done has been gold.
Exactly, yeah. His are fun to kind of revisit. They're a lot of fun to watch with people because you can kind of like, right, that was fucked up, but that was good though. Man.
Megan Burns plays Hannah, Frank's teenage daughter, and this was one of only 3 films she appeared in, and she's pretty much the weakest part of this movie.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm not like that distracted by it. As I think when I first saw it, I think I kind of like judged her a little too hard. But this time around, I was kind of like, whatever. I kind of let it kind of slid past me. I wasn't really, when you're going against these 3, whatever.
I just think that she's not as well written as the rest of these characters.
Yeah, it's not like her fault. Yeah.
Like I don't think Garland knew how to write a teenager. I think Megan Burns plays Hannah as more of like an 8-year-old. Like she doesn't.
Yes.
She's not mature enough for the situation,
Yeah.
But like you said, up against these 3, like doesn't really matter.
and Gleeson does have a couple moments where he makes it sweet, like he has that fatherly, like, oh, like, come on, we gotta, he's trying to be positive for her in these situations. Yeah.
I've never caught this before, but I love that Gleeson is hiding his Irish accent with a British accent.
Yes.
And he's doing it so well.
Yeah.
That guy is so underrated an actor.
Yeah, I love thinking about that, like really thinking about that, because that would be the equivalent of Matt Damon kind of mastering something that's, kind of in the same region, but a totally different dialect,
Maine.
And that's exactly. That's a great, Rhode Island. Yeah. Yeah. Just kind of, and it's different. If you really have been there and know the people, it's always different. Every single place you go. Well, just like in Texas, there's places you go in Texas where you're like, what did you say? And then there's people like you and I who are like from like more, not urban area, but we're closer to a big city and we talk pretty normal. But there are people in Texas where they definitely have a much different accent, and it's just wild how that kind of stuff. And I love seeing an actor do that. Like that's such a cool fact about him, that he does that kind of stuff a lot.
Yeah, for sure. Him and Cillian Murphy both disguise their voices in this.
Yes, just the slight, so cool.
Just to hammer home that these are Londoners.
Yes. Well, because really, the people who saw this in London would have known,
This was a British production. This was a British release. This came from England, but it exploded just like the virus. It took over the world. It was a huge hit. So finally, we have Christopher Eccleston as Major Henry West, leader of the rapey gang of soldiers. Eccleston is known mostly for playing the 9th Doctor on Doctor Who for only 1 season. Some of his other films include Thor: The Dark World, Legend, Shallow Grave, Gone in 60 Seconds, The Others, and G.I. Joe: The Rise of Cobra as Destro. Let's not forget he did that.
Yikes.
I have mixed feelings about this guy. I think he's a great actor. I think he is kind of a prick.
Yeah, I honestly don't know much about the guy. I haven't seen a lot of those things, and I've never been like that dedicated to Doctor Who. And but he's great in Shallow Grave. Great
in Shallow Grave. He's great. I think he's great in pretty much everything, but the way he talks about the roles he selects, he does not like doing big budget stuff. He calls it like immature and childish and beneath him, but he still takes the gig. So like,
yeah, that's stupid.
Can't have your cake and eat it too, buddy. Like, you're gonna badmouth the Marvel movies or the G.I. Joe, don't star in them.
yeah, because if you gotta stick to it, don't be daft.
Yeah, he put Doctor Who in a bind. He was the Doctor in the first season, but he won it off, and they that put a black mark on him, made him look unreliable.
Yeah,
and nearly torpedoed the show until David Tennant showed up and revolutionized the whole damn thing. So.
Well, yeah, he's a wonderful performer. Yeah.
And Eccleston's a great bad guy in this, but his bad guy is so layered because I don't think he's a bad person. Major West. He's just the scenario the corner he's dug himself into here is impossible to get out of. Just when he's talking about, I walked in on one of my men with a gun in his mouth and I promised him women. Like, what else could I do? Like, the layering of these characters is so great.
Yes,
like,
indeed.
Even in this guy who should be just like the most scummiest piece of shit left on the earth is not. You kind of feel bad for his scenario, his situation. I mean, until shit starts happening and then you're like, fuck this guy. But at first you're like, damn, how, it sucks that everybody is having to be trapped with this. We'll get more into that later. So 28 Days Later has an IMDb score of 7.6, Rotten Tomatoes score 87%. It was a huge hit, grossing $82 million on a budget of roughly £8 million. And that is our cue to get into the plot of this thing.
Let's do it.
So we open with some grisly scenes of just murder and war and destruction, and we pan out to see that a monkey is watching these screens, Clockwork Orange style. They have him belted into this chair. They're filling monkeys with rage. Why? Who the fuck knows? Probably biological warfare. That's the only scenario I can think of, but Christ. And in this laboratory, some British animal rights activists are there to free the monkeys. And you should be on their side, but these motherfuckers they ended the world. So a doctor walks in on them, and he tries to run. And he tells them, you cannot let these monkeys out. They're infected. They're contagious. And one of the activists says, like, infected with what? He just says, rage. Ooh, already you're like, what is this? What did they do to these monkeys? And the monkeys are violent, and they're attacking the cage. And one of the activists opens the cage, and this thing just bolts at her and bites her. And right there, patient zero. And she vomits, goes nuts, bites another guy, and it just keeps building towards that, from there. And then we get title card 28 Days Later. The scariest thing about this virus is how fast it is.
Yeah.
You have like 10 seconds before you are a mindless monster.
Yes. You're injected with something that you unwillingly want to do. You're going to kill. Yeah.
Yeah. You get bit. If you get these things, blood or saliva in or on you at all, you're going to turn, and you're going to turn immediately, which means your loved ones don't have time to say goodbye. They don't have time to isolate you. They have to kill you immediately, or you're going to kill them. Makes total sense that something like this could take over the United Kingdom in 28 days.
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure, man.
We meet Jim, a bicycle courier who got hit by a car, ended up in a coma. He wakes up in a hospital. Somehow he's still alive. I don't know how the hell he survived like A, the infection, B, the coma. Who knows? But he's concerned. He sees a trashed hospital everywhere. He leaves the room, puts on a gown, goes and chugs a Pepsi, and starts filling a bag with sodas. Tries the phone, doesn't work. And he goes outside, and London is completely deserted. It's one of the creepiest movie scenes in history of just an empty London. Holy shit.
Yeah, and the way it's 28 Days Later looks so different from most films, and has that grainy the grainy style that Danny Boyle just mastered early in his career. And it's like early in the morning. It is such a frightening thing to because normally at that time everybody would be starting their day. You'd be seeing people on their bikes by Big Ben, by the Parliaments, and they show they show all these streets just trash everywhere, and it's just ransacked, and it's not just empty, but it is like something like swept this place out, because there's still cars parked in weird spots, and it's just one of the most brilliant introductions to any horror film I've seen, where you see that monkey go berserk, and then you go straight to Murphy completely naked, and so you have the the whole evolution things in your head, and then he's out in the middle of London just by himself, and you're just it's mind-blowing stuff.
It's pretty brilliant. And he's calling out for people, and you see this bulletin board full of "Have you seen this person?" pictures. Just so many people disappeared. So many people were infected, and the music swells, and you just feel the isolation. The music captures that so well. John Murphy's score. Oh, God. And the reason this film looks and feels kind of different is because Danny Boyle was one of the first filmmakers to use digital cameras. And
exactly.
They were more portable, and the way he filmed in London, he had to film quick in order to film isolated London. So he used video cameras because they were easier to lug around than a big old film camera.
Well, yeah, and like you said, this budget is small. He's fuck having a crew. I'm just gonna do this. I'm gonna do this my way.
It's crazy considering how technologically crazy this movie is that it was on such a budget.
Yeah.
Really speaks to Boyle's skills as a director.
Yeah, one of our favorite words on the show with our favorite directors is practicality. This is what we love in horror, man. This is when guys get their vision done no matter what.
And it feels like such a grand scope, but because we follow just this small group of survivors, we still get that human side of things. But the way that he films it in the with the wide shots, you feel that they are all that's left.
Which is again one of Garland's fucking signatures. When you're with Gleason in Ex Machina, you're just oh man, you just feel for this kid. You know what I mean? It's brutality. You feel that humanity, but you're also just blown away by the scope of it, and just the sheer the amazing idea of it. But like you said, when you bring it into a humane focused area, it makes it rewatchable as hell, man.
Oh, for sure. I love showing people this movie, people who haven't seen it before.
Yes.
It's man. So
yeah, I just showed it to my my oldest brother Adam and his wife Caitlin, and they were like, "Whoa." Yeah, they were like, "Whoa, that was crazy." Yeah, and I was like, "Yeah, I know, man. It's a different." And you're seeing Murphy in such a different light too.
Yeah, because he's since then he's played pretty strong characters immovable, evil like Scarecrow, or brilliant like Thomas Shelby. But Jim is so vulnerable because he doesn't know what's going on. He's one of the last people left in the United Kingdom, and you feel like he could snap at any moment, either mentally or get ripped apart by one of these things. He's not in control. He's not really a hero until the last 15 minutes. He's to survive just like everyone else.
Yeah.
Jim's wandering the streets, and he goes into a church, and he finds hundreds of dead bodies. Just mass suicide. and he calls out in the church, and two faces immediately turn towards him. That always creeped me out.
Oh yeah, I love that it's not, it's not a bunch. It's just like, again, focused. It's honed in, like just a couple. So you're like, you're really honed in on what they look like, Oh man.
Oh yeah, the bloodshot red eyes, the blood seeping from like every pore. It's like Ebola if it turned you into a monster.
Yeah, full of rage. Yeah.
Ugh. And the priest comes out of his room and he's flailing around, and Jim's calling out like, "Father, are you okay?" And the priest rushes him, and Jim hits the guy with his bag of sodas and is like, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I just hit a priest. I shouldn't have done that." And he runs out, and the infected are starting to chase through the streets, and they get Molotoved by two people in masks, and they're screaming, "Over here!" to Jim. And they rescue Jim, and they blow up a gas station to get these things' attention. I'm sorry, it's London. Petrol station.
Nice.
And, they go to their hideout, and one of them tells Jim a really stupid joke. Let me see if I can remember it. A man brings a giraffe into a bar. They both get drunk. The giraffe passes out. The guy goes to leave, and the bartender says, "Hey, you can't leave that lion there." And he's like, "It's not a lion. It's a giraffe." And Jim's like, "What?"
Humorless he is, yeah.
Terrified out of his mind. Like, what the fuck is going on? Mark's just trying to break the ice. And that's Mark and Selena, the two survivors who save him. And they tell Jim what happened. That it started with just, a couple people in the streets. Started with riots. It was on the news, and then suddenly it wasn't on the news. It was outside your window, and then everything went dark. And now there's only a couple people left. And this virus turned everybody into the infected, is what they call them. And they don't know if it's global or if it's just the United Kingdom. Some of them, like Mark says, there were reports of infection in Paris and New York right before the news went out, which that is terrifying. The idea that this could be global. There's nowhere to go.
Yeah, when I immediately, especially this time around, I was thinking, when that was said, I was like, okay, hold on. I really want to know how this goes from London to New York City. Because Paris is not that far from London, right? Yeah.
Well, they have the Channel. They can run through that.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah. I want to see that.
Have you seen part 2, 28 Weeks Later?
I have once long time ago.
Is
that where it goes? Okay.
It talks about.
Is it good? I don't really remember.
28 Weeks Later is fucking great. It's on.
Oh, okay.
It's on par. It focuses on the immediate aftermath of the United States Army. It was localized. It was just the UK.
Yeah.
U.S. Army is helping relocate people, bring them back into London safely, and there's a new strain of the infection that people can be carriers of it, where their blood and saliva will get into people, but they won't have symptoms, and that shit breaks out and takes over again. Yeah, and it's so good. They do such a great job. It's an easy 9 for me.
I think it's been probably 10 years since I've seen that. Yeah.
Fucking great. Jeremy Renner. Robert Carlyle, Rose Byrne, Idris Elba. Great cast.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that soon, man. Yeah.
Hell yeah, for sure, man. So Mark and Selena are telling Jim, look, everyone you ever knew is dead. There's no, you woke up in hell, buddy. And Jim's like, well, I still have to go find my parents. And Selena and Mark are like, all right, it's a terrible idea, but we'll go with you. You can't go anywhere alone. So they go on a journey to Jim's parents' house, and he finds his parents dead of suicide, and a note that says, "Dear Jim, don't wake up." Fuck.
Yeah. Jeez.
And they stay the night in the house, but the infected get in. They just run through the window. No build up to that at all. Just immediate shit. It's crazy. And Mark and Jim and Selena fight off these monsters, but Mark gets cut. And Selena, with zero hesitation, hacks him to death with a machete. Fuck.
Yeah, dude.
Doesn't
Unreal.
even, like, not even like a mercy kill. Doesn't just, like, take off his head or something. She whacks him to death like a Somali pirate. It is dark shit.
Ugh.
And Jim's just like, the fuck? Why did you do that? And Selena tells him that the infection is super fast. They have seconds. So if blood gets on you, you have to act. You have to do it in a heartbeat, is what she says.
She's like, and trust me, I would do the same thing to you, buddy.
Yeah. That's what you want to hear.
Yeah.
So they start walking through the city, and they're kind of just like, fuck, what now? And Selena's like, what, you think we're gonna start a relationship? We're gonna, like, fall in love? Fuck you, mate. She cuts that off immediately, which is pretty ironic. And she says, like, the only thing that matters is survival. And suddenly they see Christmas lights blinking in a high-rise apartment, and they decide to go check that out. Halfway up the stairs, Jim has an enormous headache and stops. And Selena says, or the reason you have a migraine is because you've had nothing but sugar and you just woke up from a fucking coma. And she's like, well, the only thing we can do is give you painkillers and more sugar. They're gonna burn this guy out. And as she's looking for sodas, you hear a roar, and the infected start running up the stairs. And they have to start running up the stairs. Like, the infected can't catch up. And they run into a guy in full riot gear who tells them, get to the flat at the end of the hall. And that's Frank. And he's holding off the infected with a riot shield. And Hannah, his daughter, won't let them in the apartment because she doesn't see her dad. See, that's part of the thing where I'm like, that's what an 8-year-old would do. She's supposed to be like 13. She'd have a little bit more sense than that.
Yeah, you should be able to tell the difference between a red-eyed, freak and, person.
Yeah. That's one good thing I like about this universe is you would very easily be able to tell who's infected. There wouldn't be any, like, hiding the bite. None of that shit. It's pretty quick.
Yeah. And it almost doesn't matter. They're still so ruthless, like, you're going to die.
Yeah, big time. Oof. There's a scene in the second one that the evacuation is happening, and they're all in, like, an underground bunker trying to get through a tunnel to get to evacuation, and an infected gets inside there. Just one gets in that room, and suddenly it just starts spreading throughout that whole. It's so fucked up. It's so great. Yeah, dude, you're gonna love 28 Weeks Later.
Yeah, I'm excited to go back to it. Yeah.
It's gonna be tough to find though. It's not streaming anywhere.
You don't own it?
I have it, yeah, but.
Yeah, I'll come by and get it or something at some point, or we can, we'll figure it out.
If we can start meeting up again, we'll do 28 Weeks Later soon.
Yeah, there we go. We could do it sometime in the summer. Yeah.
Exactly. Now I'm just thinking about. I might watch that tonight. I'm just thinking about it now. So Frank and Hannah are very excited to see Selena and Jim. They haven't seen other people in a while. I think 6 days. Was that them? Did they say that, or did the soldiers say that? They haven't seen another person in 6 days.
I think it was, right here, Frank and Hannah.
Okay. So Frank says this calls for celebration, so he brings out some creme de menthe, and they start they're drinking it. And Frank's just, like, constantly hanging on Jim, like he just wants to, hey, how you doing? Like, you shaving? Cool. Like, he's just so happy to have somebody to talk to. It's really sad.
It's very sad. I love when he, like, goes up. He's like, so you and Selena? He's like, no. He's like, oh yeah. He's like, he's like trying to be like the cool uncle. It's really funny.
Well, I love when they're up on the roof with all the hundreds of buckets for the rain that's not coming, and in there is a fucking laundry basket. I love that, like, with holes on the side. Like,
it's one of my favorite shots. It's one of the best shots of that movie. Yeah.
So Selena fears that they're gonna slow her down. That putting others ahead of their own personal survival is going to get them killed. That they need them way more than Selena needs Frank and Hannah. Frank hears this and agrees that, like, yeah, we need you, but, maybe we need each other. Help stick together, that kind of thing. And Frank shows them a recorded radio broadcast transmitted by soldiers near Manchester who claim that they have the answer to infection. Dude, seeing the amount of times I've seen this, like, just, I don't want them to go. Like, they are fine right here. If they had, those motherfuckers, And Frank says, we need your help to get out of the city. We can't do this alone. So they all get in Frank's car and decide to go find this answer to infection, find where this radio loop is being broadcasted from. And on the trip, they bond. They become like friends and almost like a little family. And I love when they go to the grocery store and just start picking off what's left.
Wonderful scene, yeah.
Frank goes up to Jim at the liquor aisle and is like, "You can't just take anything. Like, what about this? Like, take this. Take the good stuff."
Yeah. He's like, he like doesn't care at all, and he just like grabs 4 of them.
Yeah. The big bushel of irradiated apples. I love that.
Yeah. So
Frank
good.
just leaves his credit card on the table. It's nice. It's a sweet, like, the music's very sweet and kind of whimsical.
Yes. It's a fun scene, man. They're all smiling. Yeah.
They get a flat in a tunnel. That was pretty brutal. That was pretty creepy. But they have to quickly change that flat tire because the infected are coming. And Jim is no fucking help. He's like, "Wow, worst place to get a flat, huh?"
just being a prick, yeah.
Sarcastic prick. They go to a field to kind of sleep under the stars, and Jim sees that Selena has some pills, some Valium, and says that she used to be a chemist, which is British for pharmacist, and she uses them for sleep, but I think they're more of a security blanket. Like, if she gets infected, or if she sees there's no way out, down those pills.
Yeah.
It's like having a gun to your head. And Jim and Selena start to bond. They start to fall for one another because, as you do when there's 4 people left in the world. And yeah, that's what happens. And they get to the blockade, and it's deserted. There's nobody there. And Frank is livid. And he's a bird up on a pole, and he's just like, he starts throwing shit at the bird, and a drop of blood falls off a corpse that's up there. How the fuck a corpse got up there is amazing. But the drop of blood lands in Frank's eye. Oh. And he immediately is like, "Well, that's it for me." And he says, tells his daughter, like, "I love you very much. I'm sorry I yelled at you." Like, it's just immediately like, bye. He tells Hannah to get away from him. He starts flailing and screaming, and then he gets shot by some soldiers who are hiding. They take the car. They take Selena, Jim, and Hannah to a mansion that's been fortified under the command of Major Henry West. And it looks like they found salvation. This is the calm after the storm. But no. Shit's about to get way worse.
Yeah.
First time I saw this, I couldn't fucking believe it. I was like, who the hell does something like this? But the more I watched it, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what would happen.
Yeah, because you would have humans becoming even more evil than the things that are chasing them. Yeah, it's just crazy.
A situation like this brings out your true nature, shows you who you really are. And if you are, a soldier at the end of his rope, you don't give a fuck anymore. You're in it for you. You don't care about survival. All you care about is yourself and what you can do to pass the time. It's really fucked up. So during all this, Hannah's gone into shock. Her father's dead, and she's just emotionally broken. Selena and Jim find comfort in each other, and Jim finds out that Major West's answer to infection is a lie. He doesn't have a plan. He's just waiting for the infected to starve to death, and told his soldiers that in order to keep them from killing themselves, he promised them women. And he can't let them leave. He can't let Selena and Hannah leave because they represent salvation. It's so disturbing. It's disturbing.
It gets more disturbing than than the movie we were already watching. Yeah.
Yeah, man, it's crazy. And Jim is horrified. He tries to get out of there, but he gets captured along with the Sergeant Farrell, who disagrees with the plan and doesn't want to go through with this. So they get thrown into the woods for execution. They get Farrell, but Jim escapes during some confusion. And Selena and Hannah are trapped as the soldiers, drag them back to the mansion to basically start raping them. And Selena asks to be left alone briefly with Hannah, and while left alone, she tries to give her one of the pills, and she does take one of the pills and becomes kind of stoned. It's weird. But soldiers see the pills, they get rid of the pills immediately, and I don't like talking about this part.
Yeah, I know, it's a brutal. This paragraph right here is like terrible. Yeah.
So in the woods, while the two executioners fight about how to kill Farrell and Jim takes off. They run after him, but Jim is suddenly fucking G.I. Joe, and he manages to just like evade capture and take all these guys out. It's crazy.
He graduated. He became Tommy Shelby right there.
That's right. He sees a jet fly overhead, realizes that the outside world's still functioning somewhat, and he lures West and the men to the blockade using the mines. Jim runs back to the mansion, where he unleashes Private Mailer, an infected soldier that they had chained for observation, and Mailer starts running through the mansion just attacking soldiers. He uses the infected as a weapon. It was brilliant.
Yes.
And all of these soldiers are so woefully unprepared for one infected. It's, oh my God. And yeah, Mailer keeps ripping soldiers apart, making more infected, and then just keep running through the mansion, taking out the soldiers. And Selena, who's held hostage by the last soldier, is horrified when Jim bursts into the room covered in blood and brutally kills the soldier. He gouges his eyes out with his thumbs. And she grabs a machete, hesitates before getting him, and realizes he's not infected. And Jim says that was longer than a heartbeat.
Genius.
She didn't have it in her. She couldn't do it. And they kiss. Everything's always right with the world. Hannah finds them. They get to Frank's car, only to find Major West in the back seat, who is a little PO'd that he killed all his men. In fact, West takes it pretty well. Just the cold delivery that Eccleston does in that scene. You killed all my men. Like, no emotion at all. And then just one bullet in the stomach.
Oh, man.
And Hannah says, fuck this, and throws the car in reverse and drives back into the mansion. And Mailer and the other soldiers rip West out of the back window. Oh, it was so satisfying.
Perfect. We needed that.
And he's just screaming, no, no. Like, oh, fuck you, West. They escape, and they rush Jim to a hospital and somehow manage to save his life. 28 days later. And we show Jim, Selena, and Hannah are living in a cottage somewhere on the English countryside. They're putting together giant fabric. They're sewing together a giant banner for this jet that flies over. They put a big hello out on the yard. And the jet sees them and decides to, says send a helicopter. And Selena wonders, do you think he saw us this time? Oh,
man.
It is flawless. It is just a flawless movie about it's a really realistic depiction of how mankind would handle a zombie outbreak.
Yes.
Not well, turns out.
Not well at all. Not well at all. Yeah, this movie has such a satisfying ending. Just seeing Selena's face, like, oh, man. When she turns and looks at him and says, do you think he saw us this time? It's just such a brilliant part of the movie.
There were a number of alternate endings where Jim died, and I'm glad they didn't go with that. There was too much bleakness in this movie.
Yeah, it was already really bleak, and I don't think you need more more darkness when it becomes this dark. And I also love seeing that, seeing them survive that darkness, like you said, how humans would kind of handle this sort of situation. Yeah, it gets somehow compounds into this is when it gets really, really like a horror movie, is like the latter half when you start dealing with these dickheads who aren't even infected. Yeah, you're just so happy to see them survive that, get out of there, and see another day.
Walking Dead's the same way. It evolved into like the scariest part of this new world is the people who took power in it. It's not about the zombies anymore. It's about evading the true nature of some people. And yeah, this movie just did that so well. Here's some Filmgazm facts for you. Number 1, horror novelist Stephen King bought out an entire showing of the film in New York City.
Wow.
Great to hear that he's a fan.
That's incredible.
Number 2, Ewan McGregor was the original choice to play Jim, but he and director Danny Boyle had a falling out at the time over The Beach, in which McGregor was supposed to play the lead until he was replaced by Leonardo DiCaprio. Thankfully, Danny Boyle and Ewan McGregor have since worked things out because McGregor appeared in Trainspotting 2. And after that didn't work out, McGregor not taking Jim, the role was offered to Ryan Gosling, who had a scheduling conflict.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't see Gosling in this at all. He's too pretty boy.
No, and at that time, that was in between Remember the Titans and The Notebook. So yeah, no thanks.
Nah. What I really like about this movie, one of the things is that the leads aren't movie stars. They're character actors. They look like real people in real situations. And Gosling does not have that. He's too movie star.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, those people are British,
Yeah.
Whether they're from England or Wales or Ireland or Scotland they're British,
Oh yeah. Number 3, I already talked about this one. It was one of the first mainstream films to be shot entirely digitally as opposed to with film. Number 4, for the scenes on the motorway, the production got permission to shoot on the M1 on a Sunday morning between 7 and 9. The M1 is a big London highway.
Yes.
The police gradually slowed traffic in both directions. Using 10 cameras, the filmmakers managed to capture a total of 1 minute of usable footage. Yeah, it's a pain shutting down London.
Yeah, no kidding. One of the biggest cities in the entire world, yeah.
So to date, there is one sequel, 2007's 28 Weeks Later, which picks up after the cleanup of the UK and the resettlement of London. Of course, shit goes sideways and the infected break out again. The film is nearly as good as the first one, definitely a worthy successor. IMDb 7.0, Rotten Tomatoes 71%. And yeah, it's fantastic. It's not directed by Danny Boyle, but it feels seamlessly like a sequel to this.
Interesting. Who did direct it?
I don't know his name. He's it was out of the blue. Let me see if I can find him.
That's a big reason why I haven't gone back to it these days. So I'm glad to hear that you love it. So I'm definitely I'm excited to do it one day on the
Juan Carlos Fresnadillo.
Okay.
He not much else.
That's it. Yeah.
He's going to be directing the live action remake of The Sword and the Stone for Disney.
Oh. I love me some Sword and the Stone.
It's a great movie. Underrated.
It is. It's definitely underrated, yeah.
So the rumored third film, 28 months later, has been in development hell for a decade now. After squabbles over rights between Danny Boyle, Alex Garland, and various producers, Boyle confirmed in 2019 that he and Garland have finally started talking about preparation for the third movie. If ever there was going to be people lined up to see that, it would be after this crazy shit.
Yeah, 100%. And if you could somehow get Alex Garland involved, then you have a guy who's on fire right now with this TV show Devs, and yeah, that would be really cool.
Oh, I want them to pick up with a grizzled, battle-worn Jim, who's been at this for years now, but he's lost Selena, he's lost Hannah, and he's just broken.
Oh man.
And he finds some other survivors, and he tries to convince them fuck it, there's no hope left. But they're no, we got to find a way to get to, I don't know, fucking Cambridge. I don't know. But
dude, yeah, I'm in.
Yeah, get to Scotland. But I want Cillian Murphy to come back. I want them to do it right. I've been waiting for this movie for so long that I don't want them to half-ass it. I don't want it to go to some asshole. I don't want, McG to do it. I want Danny Boyle and Alice Garland to come back for this.
Yeah, yeah.
And now, we might get it. Who knows? Well, I love 28 Days Later. Easy 10 for me.
Yeah, I give it a 10 as well. I think there's the atmosphere is wonderful. The performances are wonderful. It kind of changes on a dime out of nowhere into an even darker, scarier movie somehow. And yeah, it's just and it still looks really, really cool, really unique. Yeah, I think it's going to be something I'll keep watching forever, man.
Such a breathtaking horror masterpiece, and in my opinion, I think it's Danny Boyle's best film.
That's tough. I would have to really, really look at that and really maybe go back and watch some. Maybe give Trainspotting another chance because I do love that one.
Well, let me rephrase that. Best film of his that I've seen so far. I can't speak for Sunshine or Slumdog Millionaire or 127 Hours because I haven't watched them yet. But what I've seen so far, 28 Days Later wins by a landslide.
Yeah, yeah.
So what are we doing for Friday?
Friday, fun pick. We kind of, collaborated on it. You and I were talking. Of course, we want to go with the Danny Boyle route. And so what better than do his debut, a movie that I hadn't seen yet, Shallow Grave, starring Ewan McGregor, who we talked about earlier. Yeah, it's a very, very fun movie. I'm excited for that.
And Eccleston, he's in that one too.
Yes, yeah.
So full disclosure, we were planning to do Trainspotting, but due to the outbreak, we were not able to get a hold of Trainspotting. But Shallow Grave is currently on Prime through Stars, so we decided to do Shallow Grave. And great movie, great concept, perfectly executed, and that'll be fun.
It's really cool. It's a precursor to what he was going to do later in his career and how creative he could be in such a confined area. So yeah, it's awesome.
He's great at creating circles of friends.
Yes.
And Shallow Grave, no exception. That movie's so great. I love the way you never know really who your friends really are until you're faced with a scenario like that.
Yes.
And that movie's like the apex of that idea.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at what happened this week in film. Indian character actor Irfan Khan died at age 53 after a year-long battle with cancer. Some of Khan's more well-known work includes Slumdog Millionaire, Life of Pi, The Darjeeling Limited, and Jurassic World. He will be missed.
Yeah, indeed.
Damn shame. Big shock. Was not expecting that.
Yeah, I mean that's young, man. Definitely had a lot more life to live, you would think, but yeah, it's just tough, man.
I just watched Jurassic World a couple days ago.
Nice.
And, I like that movie. I think it's nowhere near as good as Jurassic Park, but that's a tough act to follow.
Yeah, what do you expect? Yeah.
He's good though. He's good in Jurassic World, kind of a spiritual successor to John Hammond. American Hustle writer Eric Warren Singer has been tapped to write Now You See Me 3 for Lionsgate. He plans to bring back the original characters, also says it's going to be a fresh take. Frankly, does anybody care?
I forgot about those completely, yeah.
Now You See Me wasn't bad. Now You See Me 2 was terrible. We don't need a 3. People are over it.
Yeah. Well, it's just like I want to see all those actors that are in those movies. I just want to see them doing other things.
Yeah, exactly. Next up, AMC theaters are refusing to show movies produced by Universal Studios after Universal announced they will continue to release films simultaneously through theaters and streaming once the pandemic restrictions end. After Trolls World Tour was a massive hit through streaming only, Universal is kind of reconsidering whether they need theaters at all. So in other words, as Mac once said, Universal is playing both sides, so they always end up on top.
Nice.
Nice. It's Always Sunny reference for you there.
Oh, yeah, it always comes back to It's Always Sunny.
Considering AMC might go belly up thanks to this pandemic, they probably shouldn't be making this declaration. Regal Cinemas have already said they're not going to support AMC. A lot of theaters have come out in against AMC. I think AMC might be done.
Oh, they are. Yeah, everything I've read and heard says that's about it for them. But things are changing anyway, right? Before the coronavirus even happened, things are changing rapidly. I think we're always going to, especially when this all I don't think things are necessarily going to go back to normal. But when we are able to go to theaters again, whenever that is, you're always going to see people go see the movies that make $1 billion are going to keep making $1 billion. That's just how it's going to be.
Yeah.
What's tough here are the conversations that you have about, that I've had with like friends, and definitely you and I have talked about, just kind of like the scarcity of will these people realize, I don't really need the big screen experience, to like push my product out and make money off of it. And that's a scary thing if creators start thinking that way, where it's like that I don't even need to do that. I sincerely hope that's always an option, because going to the theater is, for some movies, how it's intended to be, right? I totally understand, and I'm in this boat at this point in my life. Is I love my streaming services. I love having access to all these things at home and watching films as I please in my own time. But
True.
Man, I know you and I agree that going to the theater is the greatest thing in the world. It's the best. Best
100.
It's the best 100% way to pass time. Yeah.
I think it totally depends on the film. I think.
Yes.
Yeah. Like I think it was cool seeing the Invisible Man, for instance. It was really cool seeing that at the movies.
Yes.
But I didn't have to. But a film like, say, Avengers Endgame, you need that big screen experience.
Yeah, that's mainly what I'm saying. And that's really, those movies like Endgame, $1 billion movie, is always going to make $1 billion, no matter, if the theaters are open, that's what's going to happen. It's just, you get to like a fine line where people just don't know, because there's no knowledge of when things are all going to be open. There's no knowledge. And while everybody's just, sitting at home, they're like, oh man, I'm able to just consume all this stuff, and just sit at home, and it's safe and it's comfortable. I hope, I know you and I are not going to lose our passion for going and buying the ticket and getting the guy to rip the ticket and buying a box of candy and buying a big old soda and sitting down in a nice big giant seat that's totally unnecessary, but it's awesome, and it reclines, and there's big cup holders, and there's people coming up to you and saying, hey, do you need anything else? That's amazing. So I think the Alamo Draft Houses, the places like that, will stand no matter what. The places that offer an experience, because that's what movies are. AMC, you're not trying. You haven't been trying for years, to be honest. So I'm not surprised by them going under. I think that was going to happen anyway. But man, it's pretty jaw-dropping to see it actually happen,
Yeah, I agree. Well said, man. Next up, Christy Hall, co-creator of the Netflix series I Am Not Okay With This, has been tapped to write the screenplay for an adaptation of Stephen King's novel The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. This is one King novel I haven't read, so I couldn't tell you what it's about.
Wow, how about that?
It's a short one too. It's only like 100 pages, but I haven't sat down and read this one.
Damn.
I can tell you I'm excited the King Renaissance continues. Then
of course. And it's
now
not
I have
stop.
An excuse to read this before the movie comes out. Next up, LeBron James tweeted a photo of the title of the new Space Jam movie he is starring in. The title is Space Jam: A New Legacy, and I think it's a travesty that this film is happening at all. Is nothing sacred. Space Jam is so ridiculous that it works. You can't capture lightning in a bottle twice.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I love LeBron James, but Space Jam is also comes at such a unique time in someone's career, where Michael Jordan had retired from basketball in 1993, and so he played baseball and was opened up this opportunity to do this movie, Space Jam, right before he came back into the NBA. So it was a huge marketing scheme, as well as an awesome movie that involved cartoons like Bugs Bunny. And it's the ultimate, meshing of like icon and icon, Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny. And I love LeBron James. I love him to death, but it just doesn't make sense. Like, LeBron, if you want to be in movies, cool. Like, that's fine. I think he has a great voice for like cartoons and stuff. I just don't understand why this is the route they're taking.
Yeah, I don't either. This is going to bomb so hard. It's going to be ridiculous. It's going to be dated as hell. I think the original Space Jam is such a special movie because on paper, that sounds like the stupidest shit you could ever do in a film. Michael Jordan helps the Looney Tunes win a basketball game.
Not to me, man.
Are you kidding me?
Not to me. Well, and Bill Murray. Bill Murray. Whoa, I don't play defense. This one's on Michael.
I didn't know Dan Aykroyd was in this movie.
Yeah. And Larry Bird, when they're playing golf, and Bill Murray says, Larry's not white, Larry's clear. Yeah. God, man.
I love when he does
genius.
When he does his swing and he just holds it for like 40 seconds. Bill Murray's fucking great in that with the hat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or,
like I said, how about Wayne Knight?
Wayne Knight.
This is a nice house. I'm fat, but I'm slow.
I love when he's digging through the golf hole, and he's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, "I'm fixing a divot." It's like, "He's fixing a divot." It's perfect. It's so perfect.
Genius.
And you can't do it again. You just can't.
Genius.
I want Hollywood to realize that you can't just keep doing this. You can't just take something people loved and do it again. It doesn't work like that. Has it ever fucking worked? Has it ever captured the same kind of success? I don't think it has, ever. They can't.
Especially with a kids movie. Like, well, come on. Like, what are we doing?
Kids who liked Space Jam are us. We're the kids who like Space Jam. We're not seeing the new Space Jam. For fuck's sake. Next up, Alamo Drafthouse produced magazine Birth Movies Death has been sold to Cinestate, the same company that produces Fangoria, the famous horror magazine. They've also produced the films Bone Tomahawk, Brawl in Cell Block 99, The Standoff at Sparrow Creek, and Dragged Across Concrete. Sounds like a great home for a great publication.
Yes, sir. Indeed.
Next up, and this, I'm so glad this worked out. Character actor Joe Pantoliano was struck by a car this week and rushed to a hospital. Thankfully, he's okay and recovering smoothly.
Jeez.
But, yeah, a car got T-boned, and then that car whacked into Joe Pantoliano, and he flew into a fence.
God.
Suffered minor bruises and scrapes. He's gonna be fine.
Jeez, man.
Yeah, dude, we could have lost Joe Pants. That would have sucked.
Joey Pants.
Yeah, Cypher. Ralph Cifaretto, motherfucker. So, I'm on the 4th episode of The Sopranos. I'm doing a rewatch.
Oh God, dude. Yes.
It's so good. I got hooked immediately again. Like, this is fucking great.
It's brilliant. I love The Sopranos. One of my top 5 favorite shows.
So great. Sylvester Stallone has announced that he has begun discussions for Demolition Man 2. Do we really need this? I don't think so.
Probably not. No.
Although I would like to finally find out exactly how you use the shells. I'm curious. Finally, but then again, I don't want to see that without Wesley Snipes.
I don't want to see anything without Wesley Snipes.
I think his character died at the end of the first one, but I'm not sure. It's been a long time. Finally, character actor Sam Lloyd has died at age 56 from lung cancer. He was best known for his role as sad sack lawyer Ted Buckland on Scrubs. He also appeared in films such as Flubber, Rising Sun, and Galaxy Quest, as well as a ton of appearances on various TV shows since the early 90s. He will be missed. Too young. 2 character actors lost in their 50s to cancer this week.
Brutal.
Tragic. That's all for today, folks. Check out Shallow Grave on Friday. Next week, we're diving into the twisted mind of David Cronenberg to talk about his 1979 cult horror classic, The Brood.
Yes.
A mad doctor attempts experimental psychological therapy on a would-be mother, resulting in a truly shocking bit of cinema. I've never seen this film, so this will be very interesting.
Yeah, this will be the first time we use Criterion Channel using their horror collection to talk about. I'm super excited. I think we both, are fans of Cronenberg, but we've always wanted to see this one. So yeah, we're very excited. You haven't seen this one either? No, that's why I chose it, because we both haven't seen it. Yeah,
we're both going in cold.
We haven't done that in a long time, and I think that's the best way to do things. So let's do it, man. I'm excited.
Right on. This is gonna be. I've seen clips from this thing, and this is gonna fuck us up.
Yeah, I was sifting through Criterion, like all of their horror movies. I didn't realize I've totally missed. They have some classics on there, man.
Right on. I'm excited for The Brood.
Oh yeah.
Until then, try to steer clear of infection, and remember, it may be frightening out there, but at least we're not mindlessly infected with rage. Yet.